I think we should talk more about, or I should talk more about, the situation that we face in terms of the municipal infrastructure problems, and how those things are politically fueled, how the business of doing them properly, of doing the business properly, of maintaining things properly, of setting things in motion in a system that was working, how all of that is now falling apart, or has been falling apart progressively, and we're now seeing the result thereof. And something to bear in mind while you're listening to this is that we, the little people that are funding all of this demise, because that's what is happening, the little people that pay the rates and taxes religiously, like I've mentioned in the past, why are you doing this? You have to ask yourself that. Why do you continue? I think the answer is that you hope it will get better. But it's the usual situation of the tail wagging the dog, and I don't see how it gets better in any great hurry. There are so many things that I could point out about what's happened over the last few. Well, it's highlighted over the last few days with what's been going on, but it's obviously we're exposed to it in over a great length of time, and you almost become, you lose sight of just how deep the problem goes, and because of the symptoms that we see all the time. And I say we, I'm talking about the people that try and keep things going, and those of us that are exposed to the continual problems and interference and all of that stuff within the system, as it were. So we see it on a daily basis, and we are, I guess, we've become somewhat immune to the situation, and we just navigate around all the problems as best we can, which is definitely not the best solution to any of it. The solution, the sensible, long-term or logical solution, is to fix the problem, fix the political drive, fix the lack of know-how, the lack of knowledge, the lack of ability to manage a system. And I'll tell you now that the system is broken to a point. I'm talking about, for those of you that have not been following any of this, I'm talking about the municipal situation, the debacle, the failing municipal infrastructure in the area in which we live, and in fact the entire country, except Cape Town. That seems to be a different country. That seems to be working. Everyone that I speak to that has been down there recently says it's wonderful. There's no potholes. There's everything works in the bigger scheme of things. Anyway, so how do we fix the thing here? I think part of the problem is a great part of the problem, a majority of the problem, is the political mess, the soup. And I've stated this before, those of us that do pay rates, those of us that do continue hoping, don't really care who runs the show politically, as long as it's run properly. There are some of these political people that are more militant than others and actually have no understanding of the job or how to manage it, and that's no slight on them. It's just their cultural outlook and where they've come from, and it's some evolutionary deficit, and those are the realities of the situation. So giving the job to people like that would be foolish, very foolish. That they can be in a position to apply for the job and get it is ridiculous, but it is the reality. And people are going to go on at me about democracy and all of this nonsense. Do me a favor. Wake up. Democracy is a nice pretty word for socialism in disguise. Anyway, let's not debate that. How do we fix the problem now? Other than by talking to people and getting them to admit that there is a problem. And I say people, when I say people, I'm talking about the people that are in control of the situation at the moment within the municipality, within the council. To give you an example, what we accomplished over the last 4 or 5 days, rectifying the local electrical problem. There's now what seems to be a little witch hunt going on to find out who was involved in rectifying the situation. And that makes me wonder what the motivation is, what is at the top of the agenda for the people that are conducting that little witch hunt. Someone wants to know who was involved so that someone can be held accountable after a fashion, so that someone can be, how dare we fix the problem? How dare we? Any of you people that are working for the municipality in any position of management, upper management, any of you heads of department, any of you mayoral committee people, whose responsibility it is to see that these types of problems do not occur, or to at least oversee the proper management of the repair. Any of you, I'm talking to you directly now, if you really want to know who was involved and who fixed what, come talk to me. I'm probably not going to tell you because it's irrelevant. The fact is that we got the damn thing solved. 90% of it was solved without your intervention, actively. The other 10%, that's the last little tail end. Of course, your people had something to do with it. But if you want to play that witch hunt game, come talk to me. And we will sit in a room and we will discuss the finer points of managing the situation, why it is the way it is, and what you are potentially doing wrong. And I'm quite happy to admit that there are probably many things in this whole picture that I am not aware of. I'm quite happy to admit that I don't have all the facts. But if you have any desire to fix the situation, if you have any desire to turn this place, this metropolitan municipality, this place, if you have any desire to turn it into anything worthwhile for the future, then come and talk to me. I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the facts. But I can see from my position that it's obvious that neither do the people that should be doing this, neither do they have all the facts or the answers. So once again, it's a challenge to you. Get out of your little safe bubble, get out of your little cotton wool wrapped office. Get away from those things that insulate you against the problem. Get away from those things that insulate you against the need to take responsibility and accountability. Get away from that stuff. Come out and talk. Nobody wants to put your head on a pike. There might be a few people, but you can understand why. Because everything's broken. But get out here and talk with us. Because I'm not the only one that's able to point out a few ways to improve things. And in reality, that's actually all we want to do, is to point out a few ways to rectify the problem. Bear in mind, this problem that we are living with, you too eventually will reap the reward of the mismanagement. Mismanagement. Here I'm mismanaging my words. But you too will reap the rewards of the seeds you are sowing now. So, how do we fix the problem? Talk about it realistically. Actually talk about it. And then take action on it. I appreciate the fact that those of you that are part of the continuation of the problem are not all probably well versed at, or in fact qualified for the positions that you've been put into, and you're probably treading water. You're probably feeling out of your comfort zone in a big way. I would suggest to you that within the community there are enough people with enough management experience, enough business experience, enough business savvy to assist in rectifying the situation. Let's get away from the political divide, the political fight in the background that is really just a distraction. That's all it is. The political aspects of this are fueled by the desire to retain control for the sake of retaining control, because it's a way of surviving in a world that you think is, well, let's put it this way, your worldview is limited. All you can see is that you need to do this thing in order to get paid at the end of the month. And I'm talking to people now that are probably not even going to listen to this video or watch this video. But that's the reality of the political nonsense that's going on. And it's that filters down through the ranks. It filters down through any management structure. And I use that term very loosely. And I'm not trying to be insulting in any way. But it's very difficult to not come across as condescending when talking about this stuff, because the gaping holes in the system they're so obvious to those of us that see it from our position, from this side, from the outside. I'm quite sure that the perspective from the inside is a bit different, but it's probably not accurate. So, if you want to fix the problem, talk, speak to us, and don't do it through the newspaper. Physically, talk to us face to face. Sit down around a table with us, have some dialogue. Let's plot what the problems are, how to fix them, because I'm sure that there's also an aspect to this that you don't recognize, and that is that because you have been immersed in the system and that's the way it's always been done, that I'm sure that that's probably part of the problem. You can't see the wood for the trees as much as you would like to fix it. So, once again, contact me. You know where to get hold of me. Contact me and talk. It's going to require some honesty. Don't come into it thinking that it's going to be full of judgment and all of that, and your feelings are going to get hurt. Your feelings are going to get hurt anyway. Life's going to be a bit tough, but we'll fix the problem. And I think, after all, that's just the only thing that anybody actually wants. So, you want to fix it? Contact me.